Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to The Takeout. Now, you know I think about this show as a continuous conversation. That's not the way most TV shows go. But hello, this is not most TV shows, right? Short time ago on this program, I opened up wondering about what I called YOLO Republicans. Those freshly defeated Republicans bulldozed in primaries by MAGA favorites endorsed by President Trump. Would they rebel, I wondered? Would they threaten Trump's agenda? The Wall Street Journal, which I read with relish, outdid my YOLO Republican terminology, came up with a new term, Wounded Bear Republicans. Today's news about the now defunct, and I mean really defunct, anti-weaponization fund, to me, conjures up a hybrid Republican renegade, the YOLO Wounded Bear. All weekend, the White House said it was not budging an inch on the phone, said the $1.8 billion set aside was legally valid and politically defensible. This despite ample and vocal GOP resistance to it on substantive, legal, and political grounds. Then came Trump's meeting today at the White House with House Speaker Mike Johnson, hardly a YOLO wounded bear. Johnson, quite to the contrary, is an assiduous and skilled herdsman of loyal and wayward Republicans. Freedom Caucus members, Problem Solver Caucus members, YOLO Republicans, Wounded Bear Republicans, and taxonomies yet to be identified. Johnson has to count votes and count them precisely. He only has 2 to spare. After Trump met with Johnson, came word the White House would abandon the fund. The proximate reason? A judicial ruling blocking it. Oh, wow. As if a judicial ruling blocking something this White House set in motion had ever stopped or slowed it down before. Republicans stopped this cold. To use a phrase from just last week, that was the final determination. With the story, we turn now to Ed O'Keefe at the White House. Ed, tell us what you know.
I mean, you nailed it there. It was a telling signal this morning when we got word the House Speaker was coming over here. He doesn't come over here that often by himself, and even if he ever does, they don't necessarily always announce it. So that was a signal that something more was coming from congressional Republicans regarding all this. And remember, the underlying issue here is congressional Republicans are being asked to do here in this final summer stretch a big thing, and that is to pass with a mechanism that only requires Republican votes, spending legislation that essentially takes care of the last remaining big priorities of this administration before the elections when they may lose control of one or both chambers. And the biggest priority, of course, is immigration funding. The hope is to put hundreds of billions of dollars in place for ICE and CBP for the next several years. And the White House started adding things. Oh, we need money for the security and the reconstruction of the East Wing over here, which the president says is going to include a drone port. And then came word 2 weeks ago that in a settlement with the IRS, by the way, we're establishing an anti-weaponization fund where we're going to dole out $1.776 billion cute dollars to people who say they were mistreated by the federal government. But in that meeting that Senate Republicans had with the acting attorney general back on May 21st, he couldn't commit to ensuring that the money would never go to those who had beat up, assaulted, and really just made miserable the lives of police officers on January 6, 2021, during the insurrection at the Capitol. And it was that prompted the sustained Republican concern and opposition to this, reflected on Sunday on Face the Nation by Vice President Mike Pence, who, of course, was a target on January 6th, and others across the Republican spectrum saying, we can't do this when you're asking us to do the other things. And, oh, by the way, his approval ratings are slipping. And there's growing concern we're going to be able to win our re-elections this fall when it's bad enough you're asking us to take the tricky vote in some parts of the country to support immigration policy that resulted in the death of 2 people earlier this year and led to the swift and sudden ongoing collapse of the president's approval rating. So, as you said it, it's correct to say in this case, Republicans forced the president to back away from this, and they have done so in a pretty remarkable way with this Justice Department statement saying we're not going to comply with a court order. This is a Justice Department that's been pined to fight for any court ruling that goes against the president's wishes. But again, the pressure was just too much from fellow Republicans.
Ed O'Keefe at the White House. As always, sir, thank you very much.